Okay. So join me with the Guru Pranam mantra and the Mangalacharya. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshorum-militam yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Sri Chaitanya Madhobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Shratau Pangur Mama Manda Matirgati Matsarvasva Padam Bojo Radha Madana Mohana Divyad Vrindaranyo Kalpadru Madaha Srimad Ratna Gadao Simhasanosto Sriman Radha Srila Govinda Devo Prashtalibihi Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasarasarambi Vamsivata Statastitaha Karshan Venur Saner Gopir Gopinata Shristunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Shatarine Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye Nastaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Nigamakal Galitam Sukhamukad Amritadrava Samyutam Vibhata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavakaha Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Nama Pankajanabhaya Nama Pankajamalini Nama Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangre Ananya Twayi Ananda Twayi Mati Ananda Twayi Twayi me Ananda Vishaya Matir Madhupati Asakrit Ratim Udvahatat Ada Gange Vaugam Udan Batihi. O Madhupati, as the Ganga forever flows to the sea without hindrance, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Viknavinasha Narasimhaiti Namini Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayatim Girim Yat Kripaha Tamaham Vande Sri Guru Gunatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Mishwaram Om Tat Sat. So Hare Krishna everybody, welcome back. So this is Srimad Bhagavatam on an auspicious day of Ekadasi Tithi on during the Damodar month. very, very auspicious for us to hear about who else but Lord Krishna, the most attractive. So chapter 10, this is departure of Lord Krishna for Dwaraka. So just a bit of recap as we plunge into the chapter. So the chapter began with a description of the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira. So we heard that previously. Maharaj Yudhishthira was, after being installed on the throne by Krishna, he was asked to perform 3 Rajasuya Ashwamedha sacrifices. And after those sacrifices, he was duly installed as the king of the world. And it's described that he ruled over the land and the seas without any contest, with full dominion over them, just like how Indra has full dominion over the heavenly planets. And because of the righteousness of Yudhishthira Maharaj, who was known as Ajata Shatru, one without any enemy, the entire world abundantly produced many, many wonderful things for the pleasure of the king and the citizens. So the land, the seas, the rivers, the mountains, the forest, they were all abundantly full of beautiful jewels, valuable herbs, and all kinds of produce without doing anything automatically, right? Pearls were in the seas, jewels were everywhere in the mines, gold and silver was in all the riverbeds, and milk was flowing everywhere because the cows were very happy. And there was just enough rain. Whatever rain that came was just nice, not too much, not too little. And the weather was not too hot, not too cold, just perfect. And the people also were having no difficulties, no anxieties. Neither did they have, no anxieties due to the body, no anxieties due to the mind, and no anxieties due to other living entities. So like this, it was described. We heard about all this. And Lord Krishna was also staying with Maharaj Yudhishthira in the Hastinapur palace for about 3 or 4 months. Why? Because he was there because the Pandavas really requested him to be there. They really requested, so the Lord always pleases his devotees. And also for the reason because Subhadra lost her, son, Abhimanyu. So to console her and to keep company in this way, Lord Krishna remained for a long period of time in Hastinapur, and he immersed everyone's vision to be used to the presence of Lord Krishna. So everybody got so used to seeing the wonderful, beautiful features and activities of the Lord, they became completely addicted. And it was described how when Krishna revealed to everyone that he was going to leave Hastinapur and go to Dwaraka, finally, holiday is over, going back to Dwaraka. So because they were so used to seeing him every day, their eyes were drinking the beauty of Lord Krishna's transcendental features, and their ears were constantly hearing about his pastimes and how they were always, in association with the Lord directly. They couldn't digest that information that Lord Krishna was about to leave. Even just to go to his own, Dwaraka Puri. So many of them swooned and they fainted. All the ladies of Hastinapur, including the men also, even people like is described, even Dhritarashtra was disturbed. He also couldn't, he was shocked that Lord Krishna was about to leave. So that is the potency of Lord Krishna's wonderful presence. When somebody gets used to seeing the Lord again and again and again, they just cannot digest the idea that, they're so used to seeing the Lord. Just for that short period of time also, they became, they cannot tolerate the idea of having the Lord disappear from their vision. So in this way, it was described. And then Krishna takes his leave, So there, and as he was leaving, everybody was assembling and they were all coming to the palace gates, and all the ladies were coming to the balcony. So we heard how Lord Krishna displayed various etiquettes in meeting with all the various people of Hastinapur, from the elderly to the middle to those who are equal in age with him and those who are younger. So he showed us how etiquette, the transcendental spiritual etiquette right? And from there, we also heard about the ladies of the Kuru dynasty, Kuru Narya Sanjalpa. So we heard how the ladies of the Hastinapur, those who are not directly related to him, like Kunti Devi or, or Uttara, so they were just standing on the balcony, all assembled together and looking with all their eyes at Lord Krishna as he was leaving. And when group of ladies get together, naturally they will start talking with each other. So various things to talk about. So the Shastras describe this as Sanjalpa. So as I mentioned several times, there are two things, Prajalpa and Sanjalpa. Prajalpa is mundane gossip, talking about mundane material matters, whereas Sanjalpa is talking about transcendental matters. And these ladies were having Sanjalpa. So that's part 3 of what we are discussing. So we were going through part of the verses in Sanjalpa. We've not finished it. So we will recap a little bit about what were the topics of discussion of these ladies of the Kuru dynasty. So we recap this beautiful verse. It's a very nice verse, which I like to recap again. Anyonyam asit sanjalpa uttama sloka chetasam kauravendra purastrinam sarvashruti manohara. So it's described how amongst each other, they all gathered together. Who gathered together? The Kauravendra Pura Strinam. Kauravendra Pura means city of the king of the Kuru. Kauravendra. So Kaurava Indra, the king of the city, the king of the Kuru dynasty, that's Yudhishthira Maharaj now, and his city, Pura. And the ladies of that city, Strinam. Strinam means the chaste ladies. So these chaste ladies gathered together and they began Sanjalpa. Of who? Of Uttama Sloka. Uttama Sloka is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is spoken about with choice, beautiful poetry and words. Such a personality is called Uttama Sloka. And they praised him and spoke about him with all their hearts, fully absorbed. Chetasam. Chetasam means their consciousness and their mind was fully absorbed in this description of his glories. And it's described that Sutta Goswami narrates this to the rishis of the Naimisaranya forest. He says that this description, this gossip of these ladies of Hastinapur is Sarva Shruti Manohara. It is more attractive to the mind. It steals the mind. Manohara. Manohara means to steal the mind. It steals the mind even more so compared to all the Shruti. Shruti means the Vedas. So it is more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas. So that is what is described. So we spoke about this also. The reason being because the Vedas sometimes don't directly speak about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are a lot of topics in the Vedas, Karma Kanda, Brahman, right? Paramatma. It doesn't, very little about the Vedas actually directly speak about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pastimes. Whereas these ladies were directly getting into the matter. So it was very pleasing and stealing to the mind. So what were the topics? What were they talking about? So just summarizing what they were talking about. They began by glorifying the Supreme Lord as the Purusha Puratano. No doubt, right? Straight away, right from the beginning, this person, Uttama Sloka, is the Purusha Puratano. That means he's the original Puratana. Puratana means original. He's the original Purusha, supreme enjoyer, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is his position. This is that person who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original form, the original person. And they use the word Eka Asit, and he is one only. That one person, nobody can come close to him. He is that one person, Eka Asit. Eka means one. And that person is Jagat Atmani. He is the soul of the entire universe and creation, right? And he is the controller, Ishvare. So in this way, he alone existed in the beginning. Eka Asit, he alone existed in the beginning before all of creation. So they were describing how Mahavishnu produces so many universes from the pores of his body as he's sleeping in Yoga Nidra, right? But that Mahavishnu is also, although his personality of Godhead, but he is not the original. He is actually an expansion of, eventually he's an expansion, after several expansions, he's coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. So therefore, Krishna alone is described as Purushaha Puratano, the original personality of Godhead. So, and then they went on to describe how he created this entire universes, and he entrusted all these jivas. Prabhupada talks about two types of jivas, the Nitya Bada and the Nitya Siddha. The Nitya Siddha are those who are eternally liberated in the spiritual world. They are living there in the spiritual world, fully engrossed in the service of Krishna. All right. But the Nitya Badas are those who wanted to come to the material world because they wanted to lord over the matter. They didn't want to serve, they wanted to become Lord. So to become Lord, they have to come to the material world. And the Lord, being a benevolent father, he didn't just throw us away. He entrusted, the word was used, particularly the word entrusted. Forgot the Sanskrit, but I mentioned it in the previous session. The word entrusted is used. Carefully, those jivas were passed to the jurisdiction of Maya Devi. So by glancing at Maya Devi, right? Maya Devi is the superintendent of the material nature. And the Lord, being spiritual in nature, doesn't associate with material energy at all. So that association takes the form of Lord Shiva. That glance of Mahavishnu, who glances at Maya Shakti, that glance takes the form of Lord Shiva. And in that way, they unite together. And Lord Shiva impregnates Maya Devi with all the jivas. So jivas, the Nitya Badas, the eternally conditioned souls, they become conditioned within the womb of Maya Devi, and they take birth in various, births, taking births life after life after life within this material universe. So we describe that also. And they went on, how the ladies went on to say, that person who is the original soul of the universe, Jagat Atmani, is right here. There he goes, walking down the road, going to the gate. That same personality, the soul of the universe, is right here. So then they went on saying, how that personality is, this personality of Godhead is, as I said, original, right? Original form. He is special because he's original form. And he is confidential. He can only be known by the Atra Suraya Jitendriya Nirjita. Who can know this person? Who can know this Supreme Personality of Godhead in this form? Only those who are the devotees, Surayaha, those who are devotees, those who are devotees of the Lord, who are Jitendriya Nirjita. That means those who have controlled their senses very nicely. So that means, in other words, not just any devotee, those devotees who have taken the path of yoga, right? Remember, there are two paths, isn't it? There is one path which is the Pravarga Marga, the path of sense gratification, and there's the Nirvish Pravarga and I forgot. Nirvrika. I think that's the Sanskrit. Nivrita Marga. Nivrita Marga. So Pravarga Marga and Nivrita Marga. Nivrita means the path of renunciation. And the path of renunciation is called yoga. So one who has taken up, not interested in satisfying or gratifying these material senses, they have realized that there is a higher goal of life. And these people who take up this path, they can know the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not that person who runs after sense gratification and material opulences. So, therefore, Atra Suraya Jitendriya Nirjita, one who has controlled, the devotees who have controlled their senses. How can they do this? How can they control their senses? by Pashyanti Bhakti. So even in the in the Nivritti Marga, even in the Nivritti Marga, in the path of renunciation, there is a further two divisions. One division is the path of the Jnanis, and the other division is the path of the devotees, the Bhaktas. So and between these two, the Bhakti path is the one that will bring one to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Pashyanti Bhakti, pure, rigid devotional service. No mixing, no mix bhakti, no bhakti mixed with karma, no bhakti mixed with jnana, no bhakti mixed with material desires, no. Pure bhakti, Pashyanti Bhakti, that is the process which will turn one into Surya Jitendriya Nirjita, right? That is the one that will make one a pure devotee. So by taking up this process of bhakti, this is the only way, Nanu Eshaha, how one can fully understand this Supreme Personality of Godhead. No other way. Not by Jnana, Nivritti Marga, definitely not by the Pravritti Marga. So yeah. And they go on to describe how this personality is so attractive, right? Not only he is attractive, his nama is also attractive, his rupa is attractive, his guna, qualities are very attractive, and his leelas are very attractive. But amongst his leelas, he has general leelas which he does, and he also has very confidential leelas or pastimes which he does. So these confidential leelas, these very confidential pastimes which he carries out with his highest of devotees, these are what is called Guhyesu, very, very confidential. These are secrets in the Vedas, Vedeshu Guhyesu. So these are the secrets of the Vedas that one has to delve into and extract out. But very easily, if one takes to the path of bhakti, these secrets of the Vedas, which describe the beautiful, attractive, secret pastimes of the Lord, can very easily be revealed to us by his Guhya Vadibihi. Guhya Vadibihi means his confidential devotees. The confidential devotees can reveal the confidential pastimes, the confidential qualities of the Lord. That is the secret. So therefore, the path of bhakti is very beautiful. It's very sublime, it's very wonderful. And the sages across the ages glorify bhakti so much. Bhakti is glorified in so many ways. Even Damodar pastime is actually, now is Damodar month, right? So the pastime of Damodar is actually a glorification of bhakti. Because no one could catch Krishna, but that bhakti which is coming from Lord Mother Yashoda, is that bhakti is personified by that rope. You know, the rope is the personification of bhakti. That bhakti could tie up Krishna by his own sweet will. So that is what these ladies are all describing. And the Lord gives these opportunities. He comes, yuge, ages after ages. He does not forsake those Nitya Bada Jivas who are in this material world. He comes, he sends his devotees, he sends the Vedas, he sends the scriptures, he comes himself. Yuga, again and again. So many different incarnations. We heard about the different incarnations in chapter 3, right? He comes again and again. In this way, he tries to deliver the Nitya Badas, those who have come to this material world. And then the ladies continue. They go deeper into the pastimes. Now they say, oh, how fortunate is Yadokulam. How fortunate is the dynasty of the Yadus. In that dynasty, in that family, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared, took birth. Apparently, he took birth. Looks like he took birth, although he is unborn. Just like the sun takes birth in the east, the Lord took birth in the Yadukulam. So, of course, the sun never takes birth. The sun is always there, right? But it appears to take birth in the east. But in the same way, the Lord appeared to take birth in the Yadukulam dynasty. How wonderful, how fortunate are those for family members of the Yadus. Punyatama Madhurvanam. How even more fortunate is that beautiful land of Mathura. Now, Mathura is a huge land, right? It covers many places. Vrindavan is also a part of Mathura. Like we have Daira, like we have different Daira in our locality and districts, right? So like that, different districts are part of the bigger part of Mathura. So Vanam is the land, the holy land of Mathura. How punyatamam, how supremely virtuous. Because the Lord, why is supremely virtuous? Because the Lord went and did so many pastimes, right? He killed so many demons. He bathed in all the rivers. He walked across the different forests. He tended the cows. He lifted the Govardhan hill. He danced in so many different secret groves. He spotted with the gopis. He played with the gopas. So many wonderful, different pastimes all took place in this fortunate, beautiful land of Mathura. And then they go deeper. How fortunate is the wives of Dwaraka in Dwaraka. The fortune of they sing the glories of the fortune of his wives in Dwaraka. Now Krishna is going to Dwaraka. He's going to meet his wives, right? And these wives are, we will speak more about the wives of Krishna in today's chapter. So we talked about how Krishna's conjugal relationship is called Madhurya, right? So there is Santaras, neutrality, right? In awe and reverence, but they don't do service. And then there is Dasyam, servitude, and then there is Sakyam, friendship, devotional relationship with the Lord in friendship. And then there is Vatsalyam, relationship with the Lord as parental or as a guardian or as a protector. And then there is relationship with the Lord as a conjugal relationship, Madhurya. That means as his wife or his girlfriend, whatever. So in that way, Krishna has two types of Madhurya ras. So there is something called Swakiya, and there is another type of rasa called Parakiya. So Swakiya ras is relationship with the ladies in a married manner. So they are married. So the marriage relationship is different compared to the relationship of a boy or a girl before they get married. So there is a certain, both are nice, but there is the sages, the acharyas describe how Parakiya rasa is even greater than Swakiya rasa. The relationship before marriage, in secret meetings, wanting to see each other. So this kind of relationship, the pain of separation. So all this, the uncertainty principle, whether or not will we ever get together, that all that tends to sweeten the relationship. Just like how camphor sweetens the sweet rice. Sweet rice is already sweet. Madhurya means sweet, right? But the presence of camphor in sweet rice gives several different dimensions of sweetness, increases it to a very great level. So in the same way, Parakya ras is superior to Swakya ras. So, but going step by step, the ladies of Hastinapur, they first glorify the wives of Dwaraka, and then they go further and glorify the gopis of Vrindavan. So the greatest fortune, they acknowledge that the greatest fortune are those of the gopis of Vrindavan, Vraja Striyaha. Striya means chaste ladies, right? So the chaste ladies of Vraja. So they are described as chaste because Krishna is actually the supreme, the Purusha. So all ladies, the actual relationship, all souls, what to speak of ladies, the actual relationship is with the Supreme, the Lord. That's why he's known as the soul of the universe, right? So, and they have the greatest fortune because they are experiencing the wonderful mellows of Parakya Madhurya Ras, the topmost of all rasas with the Supreme Lord. So that was basically what we spoke about in the previous sessions, a summary of that. Now the ladies of Hastinapur are going to plunge deeper. They just summarized all these things first. Now they're going to expand further. They're going to go deeper into the pastimes. So they being ladies, they jump straight into the wives of Krishna, right? And the wives of Krishna are known. Krishna has how many wives? 16,108 wives. So we will hear about that today. So the Srimad Bhagavatam continues. The children of these ladies. So who are these ladies? These are the Ashtabharya. Ashtabharya means, Ashta means 8, Bharya means queens or wives. So the 8 principal queens, Krishna has 16,108 queens. So out of the 16,108 queens, 8 of them are principal queens. So they are known as the Ashtabharya. So here, the ladies of Hastinapur are specifically talking about the Ashtabharya. But not just the Ashtabharya, all the queens actually. So they are saying these children of these ladies, the queens of Krishna, are, for example, they start naming the names like Pradumna, Samba, Amba, etc. So there are, Krishna had many children. With each of his queens, he had 10 children and 1 daughter. And each of those children of Krishna also had 10 children. So like that, you can imagine the dynasty. It spreads, 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. So it's a very large dynasty. And some of the famous names like Pradyumna, he's basically the chief, the most famous amongst the children of Krishna. And there is Samba. This is a very naughty child of Krishna. And then there's Amba. Like that, there are many. So the children of these ladies are Pradyumna, Samba, Amba. Ladies like Rukmini, Satyabhama, and Jambavati were forcibly taken away by him from their Swayamvara ceremonies after defeating many powerful kings headed by Shishupal. So they start narrating the pastimes, because the pastimes of Lord Krishna are very sweet. There are many things to talk about in Krishna's pastimes, but they are putting some of those pastimes in perspective. So they are directly speaking about the 8 principal queens, and out of those 8 principal queens, 3 of those queens are very dear to the Lord, particularly. And they are known as Rukmini, Satyabhama, and Jambavati. So Rukmini is the first queen of Krishna, and these particular 3 queens, Rukmini, Satyabhama, and Jambavati, the marriage was not a peaceful marriage. So it was the Lord kidnapped them. So for example, Rukmini, we will hear about them. So what happened is they were forcibly taken away from their Swayamvara ceremonies. This is the ceremony organized by their father, usually a king. This is like for a king and princess. They usually give away their daughters in a ceremony where they have a contest. Who is the most powerful person in that contest? They can win the hand of the princess, like that. So, but sometimes if certain people were not invited into the contest, then if that person is very heroic and very powerful, he can show his power and heroism by kidnapping the ladies right in front of everyone's eyes from that Swayamvara ceremony. So this is considered very heroic. It's amongst the Kshatriyas. It's not for normal people, right? Brahmanas don't do like this. Shudras definitely don't do like that. So this is for Kshatriyas, those who are kingly personalities, very passionate blood. So for them, it's okay. There is no sin involved in this. So like that, the Ashtabharyas, amongst the 8 of them, 3 of them were forcefully taken. And they were Rukmini, Satyabhama, and Jambavati by heroism. And then there are other queens also, like Kalindi. Kalindi was not taken forcibly. She requested. She came and met Krishna, and she was there in Krishna and Arjuna were passing the forest in Vrindavan. They were passing the river Yamuna, and over there they saw a beautiful lady, and the lady was there meditating. And then when she saw Krishna, she came, and in this way it was arranged amongst them. So it wasn't a kidnap. And then there was also Mitravinda, another queen of Krishna. So she was also given she was daughter of King Shibi, and she was given in marriage to the Lord. So it wasn't a kidnap. And then there was also another queen called Nagnajiti. She was also married duly. So like that, and then there's another one called Bhadra. She was, so like that, these are the 8 queens of Krishna, the principal queens. Rukmini, Satyabhama, Jambavati, Kalindi, Mitravinda, Nagnajiti, and Bhadra. Sometimes Lakshmana, that's another one, 8. So let's hear about them, right? So Krishna and Rukmini. So these are the 3 queens which were named in this verse. So Krishna and Rukmini. So this is the famous story. You know, Rukmini is a perfect example of devotional service. Of course, Rukmini is a direct expansion of Chandravali from the spiritual world, right? So and in Dwaraka, she is the principal queen. So she's the principal queen, and here she never met Krishna when she was young. She was her father was Bhishmaka, and she had brothers, 5 brothers, Rukmi, Rukmarata, Rukmabahu, like that. There were some brothers, 5 brothers altogether, and she was called Rukmini. And she never saw Krishna, but she heard about Krishna right from young. And, you know, simply by hearing about Krishna, she began to hear, and she developed attraction to hearing about Krishna. And then she started chanting the names of Krishna. And as she chanted the names of Krishna, her attraction grew greater. And she started remembering Smaranam, Krishna, constantly all the time. And in this way, finally, when she was going to be married, she wrote a letter addressed to Krishna and sent it. So, and she requested Krishna, please come and kidnap me. I'm going to be married to this person. Actually, Rukmi wanted to marry Rukmini to, who he wanted to marry? Married to Shishupal. Yeah, he wanted to marry, this is Shishupal. So this is Rukma and this is Shishupal. So he wanted to marry Rukmini to Shishupal. But Krishna, you know, Krishna and Shishupal is always envious of Krishna. But anyway, Rukmini, she prayed and she wrote a letter, and the letter came to Krishna, and Krishna immediately left Dwaraka. The moment he got the letter, he left Dwaraka and came on his chariot, driven by Daruka, his charioteer, and they kidnapped right in the middle of the wedding ceremony and brought her away. So you can see this picture, how Krishna is the greatest love story ever, isn't it? How Krishna came and kidnapped Rukmini. And of course, naturally, Rukmi became very upset. So there was a big fight. Rukmi and all his brothers chased after Krishna and they fought. Krishna defeated all of them, but Rukmi wouldn't want to give up. So then Krishna had to catch Rukmi and teach him a lesson, shaved off half his hair. So in this way, you know, he wanted to kill him, but then Rukmini told, you know, please, he's my brother, just let him go. So therefore, he shaved half his head, just like what happened to Ashwatthama. Half his hair was shaved. And that was the greatest insult for Rukmi. So he kept such a grudge, right? So anyway, eventually both got married. Shishupal, that's another reason Shishupal became very angry. So he kept the grudge very long. You know, he was supposed to marry. So then Krishna married. So that's one of the reasons why he started insulting Krishna during the Rajasuya sacrifice in Hastinapur. So they married duly and they had many children. And the foremost of the child of Rukmini and Krishna is Pradyumna. So the children of them are like Pradyumna, Charudeshna, Sudeshna, Charudeha, so Sucharu, Charugupta, so all the Charus. So these were all the children of Rukmini and Krishna. And then there is wife number 2. The second wife of Krishna is called Jambavati. Now, Jambavati was not married peacefully also. So what happened was, there was, the story of Shamantaka jewel. There was a wonderful jewel given by the sun god to Satrajit. Satrajit is the treasurer of the Yadu dynasty, the family of Krishna, the Yadu dynasty. Satrajit is the treasurer, and he was a king also. And he had this jewel, and the jewel was very wonderful jewel. It produced so many tons of gold every day, and the person who had the jewel will not suffer any disease, and he will live almost like forever. So that kind of potency this jewel had. So this Satrajit became very attached to it. By right, he should have given the jewel to the most worthy. That's the etiquette. But he kept it for himself. He didn't even give it to Ugrasena, the king of all the Yadu dynasty. So anyway, there was a long story. The jewel disappeared. It was stolen. And anyway, what happened was the jewel ended up in a cave guarded by a dreadful bear. Now, this bear wasn't an ordinary bear. It was the same bear that was there during Lord Ramachandra's pastime. And this bear had helped Lord Ramachandra at that time. He's called Jambavan. And he's not an ordinary bear. He's actually a very, very powerful mystical bear. He could travel around the universe, and there's a long story behind him. I think he's son of Brahma, if I'm not mistaken. Check on that. But anyway, this bear, he had the association of Lord Ramachandra at that time during Treta Yuga. But after Lord Ramachandra left, he fell into bad association. He mixed with some other bad association demons like the Dvivija gorilla. Dvivija also was there, but he also was, had bad association. And they all became rather demonic. So this Jambavan, he would, simply attack anybody and he'll kill anybody. And he's very powerful. Nobody could defeat him. So this jewel ended up there. And what happened was Satrajit blamed Krishna as the thief. But actually, Krishna wasn't the thief. Somebody else stole it. But he blamed Krishna. And Krishna, to clear it, the story is there in Krishna book. You can read in Krishna book. It's in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But anyway, long story short, Krishna went searching for the jewel. He came to Jambavan's cave. He met Jambavan. Jambavan didn't recognize Krishna as the same Lord Ramachandra because he was covered. This is what happens, his eyes were no longer, they were covered with anarthas. So therefore, he started fighting with Lord Krishna. So you can see here the picture. He fought. Lord fought with. It was described that the fight took place 27 days or something. A long time. And after fighting, Jambavan eventually realized, oh, nobody could resist me this many days. The only person who has the power to resist me was the Supreme Lord Ramachandra, who came during that time in Treta Yuga. Is that the same person now? So he started seeing clearer. He opened his eyes even more. And because he developed some, positive idea in his heart about the Lord he was fighting with. So therefore, by the Lord's mercy flew into his heart. And therefore he was revealed, and therefore that mercy revealed to Jambavan the actual identity of the person who he was fighting with. So then he realized and immediately fell down and offered his obeisances. Oh Lord, you have come back again. And in this way, then he said, okay, so to make amends for the fight that we just fought, right, I will offer you my daughter, Jambavati. So Jambavati was also married to Krishna. So Jambavati was very, very beautiful. And it's described that she's one of the favorite wives of Krishna. Rukmini, Satyabhama, Jambavati. These three are very, very dear to Krishna, the principal queens. So then, Jambavati and Krishna had many children also. Some of them were called Sumitra, Chitraketu, like that. There are a few others. And then there's, of course, another wife, and this is wife number 3. So wife number 3 was Satyabhama. So Satyabhama was the daughter of King Satrajit. So the story of the Shamantaka jewel was not finished yet. So after he took the Shamantaka jewel from Jambavan and married Jambavati, they went back to Dwaraka, and Krishna presented the jewel to Ugrasena and also to Satrajit and said, look, I am not the thief. I found this in the cave of Jambavan where he had killed some people. So then Satrajit was embarrassed. He became very, very sorry for doing what he did. And to save face, he offered his daughter Satyabhama as a wife for Krishna. And Krishna accepted Satyabhama also. And in this way, Krishna married Satyabhama. Now, Satyabhama was a warrior queen. She was also a Kshatriya, right? And she's amongst all the queens of Krishna. She's a Kshatriya queen. Who else? Bhadra is also a Kshatriya queen, I think. And like that, there are 2 or 3 other Kshatriya queens. So her temperament was a bit, how to say, feisty. She would challenge Krishna sometimes, but she does this in such a way because and Krishna takes pleasure in this playful challenges. So it's described that Satyabhama is actually a partial incarnation of Radharani. Rukmini is a partial incarnation of Chandravali. You know, in Vrindavan, there are 2 camps of gopis, Radharani's camp and Chandravali's camp. So Chandravali's relationship with Krishna is, she is always very, very soft. She will always agree with whatever Krishna wants. She won't argue or fight with Krishna. That's her relationship. You know, very completely dependent and surrendered relationship. Whereas Radharani, she likes to fight with Krishna. And this fighting with Krishna actually gives Krishna more pleasure. So in Parakyaras, this relationship of not completely agreeing with whatever Krishna says gives greater pleasure in Parakyaras. So and therefore her expansion is Satyabhama. But in married life, that relationship is not the topmost. So therefore Rukmini is the principal wife of Krishna. That's the topmost relationship in married life. But in before married life, the topmost relationship is the type of relationship that's described by how Radharani is having with Krishna. So therefore Radharani is the topmost of all the gopis, but of all the queens of Dwaraka, Rukmini is the topmost. So anyway, so Satyabhama, she an example of how Satyabhama is always pulling some tantrums or becoming upset, and in this way she will create this kind of loving relationship, love fight relationship with Krishna. So once Rukmini was given a very special flower by Narada Muni. Narada Muni brought this special flower from Indraloka. This flower's name was called Parijata. So, and this Parijata flower, we have Parijata flower here, but the original Parijata came from heaven, is much, much greater. And it was extremely fragrant. Just that one flower was so fragrant, and it never decayed. It remained fresh for many, many, many months and years. So Rukmini had this wonderful flower given by Narada Muni, and Satyabhama became jealous, next door queen, and she saw Rukmini having this flower. She thought Krishna must have given this nice flower to her, and she became very jealous, and she made a fuss and a tantrum. And Krishna, it was sweet. Krishna enjoys these things. So to satisfy her, he said, I will give you the entire tree, right? So then I will bring the tree for you. And he was about to go on his Garuda and go to Indraloka. But Satyabhama was that kind of a queen, she's like, no, I don't want you to give it to me. I also want to come. let me see how you're going to fight and take how you're going to get the tree. So she was Kshatriya, right? So she also dressed up for battle, and she sat on Garuda together with Krishna, and they all flew to Indraloka. And over there, Indra gave them a good fight. So they fought, and then finally Krishna took the entire Parijata tree. You can see here, Garuda took the Parijata tree, right? And they brought it all down back to earth. So this is an example of Satyabhama's nature. And they had 10 sons also. So children of Satyabhama were called Banu, Swabanu, Subanu, Banuman, all the Banus, different variations of the name Banu, Chandra Banu, Shri Banu, Pratibanu, so like that. So while they were flying, when Satyabhama and Krishna were flying on Garuda, coming back home, right? Actually, they came back already. And then later, there was a problem with a demon called Baumasura. So the verse continues. The ladies of Hastinapur, they continue with the verse. And other ladies were also forcibly taken away by him after he killed Baumasura and thousands of his assistants. So there was once Baumasura, the child of Varaha Dev and Bhuma Devi, actually Krishna's own child, through Varahadev, right? When Varahadev lifted the earth. So this is the reason Deepavali is celebrated, isn't it? Baumasura is also known as Naragasura. So the day Naragasura was killed, that is Naraga Chaturdasi. The next day is considered Deepavali, right? Amavasa. So on Amavasa, Naraga, we light lamps to light up the darkness of the ignorance of the heart. So anyway, so Satyabhama also came with Krishna. She sat on Krishna because Naragasura or Baumasura had a special boon. The boon was no one can kill him until his own mother agrees to have him killed. So Satyabhama is an expansion of, I mentioned to you, expansion of Radharani, but she's actually a part expansion, not a direct expansion. So an expansion of Radharani is, the Shaktis, Bhu, Shri, and Nila. So Rukmini is Shri Shakti. Bhu Shakti is Satyabhama. Yeah. So from Bhu Shakti expanded as Satyabhama. And Bhu is Bhuma Devi, right? Bhuma Devi is also Bhu Shakti. So therefore, Satyabhama indirectly is the mother of Baumasura. So they came together, and Lord Krishna was fighting Naragasura. It was a big fight. It's described in the Krishna book also, by Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10. So very, very nice fight in the city of, what's the name? Very nice name. Pradyoshtha, something like that. Some nice name of the city. Surrounded by many things, surrounded by fire, surrounded by electricity, surrounded by wind, surrounded by so many things. But Lord Krishna penetrated all these places and he defeated them. And in this way, after defeating them, now this Baumasura, what he did was, he kidnapped 16,100 princesses from all over the world. And he kept them in his harem, right, in his palace, and he enjoyed with them forcibly. So, forcibly he would enjoy with them. And in this way, this is what he did. So after he died, Lord Krishna went into the harem, because these queens, these princesses, they all knew about Krishna also. And when they were in the palace of Baumasura, they prayed, oh Lord Krishna, if Lord Krishna would come and save us. Only he is the great hero who can ever come and save us. So they were constantly praying. And finally the prayers came true. Lord Krishna, after killing Baumasura, he delivered all of these 16,100 ladies. But because the leader of these ladies was called Rohini. So amongst the 16,100, the leader was Rohini. And all this, and then the verse continues. All of these ladies are glorious. Now, how is that? Because these ladies were raped by Baumasura. So they were kept there, all 16,100 of them. And society during that time, right, in Vedic times, it will be an embarrassment for these ladies. Their status will become very low because they have been enjoyed by another person like that, and so therefore they would be in a very inglorious situation. However, because they were all surrendered to Krishna, Krishna accepted them, all of them, as his wives. So from inglorious, they became glorious. So therefore, the ladies of Hastinapur, they are, gossiping amongst themselves. Oh, Krishna saved all of these 16,100 ladies from Bhaumasura, and all of these ladies are glorious. All these women auspiciously glorified their lives, despite their being without individuality nor purity, Saucham. So because these ladies were enjoyed by Bhaumasura, they were considered not pure. So without purity, no Saucham, na Saucham. And they were all kept in that palace without marriage, without any relationship with a legitimate husband. So they were considered without individuality. But still, they were glorious. Why? Because they all glorified the Supreme Lord. So simply by one's glorification, simply by kirtanam, the process of kirtanam, glorifying the Supreme Lord, chanting his holy names, any kind of misfortune in our lives, any status of misfortune is automatically transformed to the most glorious situation, simply because we chant the names of the Lord. So Prabhupada gives purport here. As soon as the devotees surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord sincerely, the Lord accepts them. Just like how, doesn't matter where you are from, even if our status, our situation is the most lowest of situations, still Krishna accepts them immediately. Right? The Lord accepts them, and thus the devotees at once became free from all material contaminations. Just as there is no qualitative difference between the Ganges water and the filthy drain water when they are amalgamated. Sometimes a lot of drain water goes into the Ganges, but drain water, although is impure, but after it mixes with the Ganges, people don't say, I will not bathe in the Ganges because it mixes with drain water, isn't it? They still bathe in the Ganges. The Ganges is still pure. So in the same way, they become amalgamated simply by the process of devotional service. Anything which is impure, because of association with the pure, they also become pure. That is the beautiful process of devotional service. Many examples are given. Just like the iron is cold and very dark, but the iron in contact with fire, that iron can become white hot, brilliant white hot, and it can be hot, right? The iron, but otherwise it's cold, dull, and gray, isn't it? But in contact with fire, it becomes brilliant, hot, and bright. So in the same way, all of us, in whatever inglorious situation that we are, simply by connecting with the Lord through the process of Pashyanti Bhakti, pure devotional service, beginning with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, hearing, chanting, or glorifying and remembering, right? And Dasyam, Sevanam, right? We can also purify our situation and come to the most glorious. The fallen girls sincerely prayed to Lord Krishna for their deliverance, and their sincerity of purpose made them at once pure by virtue of devotion. The Lord therefore accepted them as his wives, and thus their lives became glorified. How much so? How were they glorified? How much more were they glorified? Right? And the ladies of Hastinapur began talking about that. Not only he married them, or not, how much, what kind of position he gave them. So they start speaking. Their Pushkara Lochana Patir, their lotus-eyed lord or husband, never left them alone at home. Nowadays, wives don't speak like that. Better leave me alone. So, but this is the type of attention Lord Krishna gave them. He showered them with wonderful attention, right? How he showered them with attention? He always pleased their hearts by making valuable presentations. Valuable presentations like what? Like we just heard, the Parijata flower given to Rukmini, the Parijata tree given to Satyabhama, and palaces, beautiful palaces studded with jewels and built with gold and silver. And he gave them costly ornaments and jewels and saris. So in this way, he presented to them. So therefore, this is the Lord Krishna shows by example how one can please the wife. So the ladies of Hastinapur are gossiping like this, while the ladies of the capital were greeting him and talking in this way, right? They were talking in this way, glorifying him, gossiping about his wife, about his family life, about his children, about all the wonderful palaces and the gifts that Lord Krishna was showering attention to his wives with, right? So while they were greeting him and talking in this way, the Lord Hari, particularly he's called Hari. Hari means thief. Another name for Hari has several meanings. One of the meaning of Hari is thief. The Lord stole away their hearts simply by walking, simply by smiling. So the Lord heard all of their glorification, all their gossips. The Lord heard, and He smiled at them. So that, and in this way, He stole all their hearts and minds with Him as He left. So the Lord Hari, smiling, accepted their good greetings, and casting the grace of his glance over them, he departed from the city, stealing away their minds and hearts. And then we continue with the departure of the Lord. Maharaj Yudhishthira, so now that therefore ends the topics of Sanjalpa. The gossip has ended. Now we are going to complete the chapter. So then verse continues. Maharaj Yudhishthira, although Ajata Shatru, although he is without any enemy, no enemy is born for him, right? But still, he engaged 4 divisions of defense to accompany Madhudvisha. Madhudvisha means the enemy of the demons. Which demon? Madhu demon. So Madhu demon, that's the demons Madhu and Kaitaba, who came from the year of Brahma during the time of creation. So these demons represent all other demons. So Madhu Dvisha means killer of this Madhu demon. It also means killer of all demons. So therefore, Krishna is the killer of all demons. And though Krishna is the killer of all demons, and though Yudhishthira Maharaj had no enemies, still he organized 4 divisions of defense to accompany Madhu Dvisha. So this is like an honor guard. When an important personality is leaving or walking, right? Even nowadays also, when people come to your house, when they leave, we all come with the guest, right? Up to the entrance, up to the road, until the guest leaves. So that's a nice culture. So in this way, they all accompanied him, and he got the honor guard to come. 4 divisions of the honor guard. What are the 4 divisions? You can see the picture here. The 4 divisions are, from here we can understand what is a proper army. A proper army comprises of 4 divisions. The first division is the elephant division, or elephant cavalry, we call it. Elephants. Second division is the chariot division, coming in chariots. Third division is the horse division, cavalry, people riding on horses. And the 4th division is the infantry, people walking on foot, carrying spears, carrying swords. So these are the 4 divisions of an army. Elephant, horseback, chariot, as well as footmen. The Maharaja did this, Yudhishthira Maharaj did this because of the enemy, and also out of snehat for the Lord. What is the enemy? So it's interesting, this verse says Maharaj Yudhishthira is one without enemy, Ajata Shatru, right? And at the same time, he is also doing this because of the enemy. So who are the enemies? So it's not that Yudhishthira Maharaj saw these people as enemies. His vision was equipoised. He never saw anyone as enemy. But that doesn't mean he's stupid, right? He understands that people act in different ways due to the influence of the three modes of nature. So he doesn't view them as enemies, but he understands that these people are illusioned. And because of illusion, they act in certain ways which may be detrimental to the kingdom. So therefore, he engaged these four divisions of the army to come as a guard for Krishna. Not because Krishna cannot defeat them, but this is as an honor, right? One thing is in the pretext of protecting him, but the real reason was actually out of snehat. Snehat is affection. How can a king show affection? The king can show affection by giving his army as protection, right? For the guest, an honor guard. So then Lord Prabhupada comments, Maharaj Yudhishthira knew well that Krishna is everyone's friend and well-wisher. And yet there were asuras who were by nature envious of the Lord. Right? The Lord accepted all the arrangements made by Lord Maharaj Yudhishthira because he could not disobey the king, who was his elder cousin. The Lord placed the part of a subordinate in his transcendental spotting. So the Lord also accepted all this, right? Not because he needs it, because he is reciprocating with the love of Yudhishthira Maharaj. So, Yudhishthira Maharaj, you can learn from this, As I said, equal vision doesn't mean naive, doesn't mean one is stupid, doesn't mean one doesn't recognize danger or one doesn't recognize enemy. He doesn't view them as enemy, but he understands that this person can act in such a negative way, right? So that is the position of a Kshatriya. That is actually, we also have to learn. We have to develop this vision to be able to differentiate, but at the same time understand that everyone is spirit soul. Yes, everyone is spirit soul, but we also understand that everyone is conditioned more or less in different ways, and there are different grades of devotees, and there are, there's pure devotee, there is mixed devotees, and amongst devotees also there is Kanishta devotee, there is Madhyam devotee, there is Uttama devotee. So one should pray for the intelligence so that we can differentiate these, so that we can protect our bhakti lata very carefully by associating with the right type of people. So, asat sangha tyaga, right? Rupa Goswami says, asat sangha tyaga. We need to stay away from bad association. So, therefore, we have to be careful in selecting like-minded devotees who are serious, who are trying to follow pure devotional service, right? So, in this way, we should associate with these people. So then Prabhupada continues, the basic principle for all transcendental exchanges between the Lord and his devotees is exhibited to enjoy a transcendental bliss for which there is no comparison, even up to the level of Brahmanda. So all this is relationship, sweet reciprocation, giving and taking. So in this way, Yudhishthira Maharaj is giving his army as a token of honor, and the Lord also accepts it. So this is a relationship of love. So in the nectar of devotion and the nectar of instruction, Rupa Goswami says there are 6 different exchanges of love, right? Dadati pratigranati guyam akyati prachati bhunkte bojayate chaiva tadvidi priti lakshanam. So tadvidi priti lakshanam. Priti means love. Lakshanam, the symptoms of love is 6. Dadati pratigranati, giving gives and accepting gifts, right? That's dadi pratigranati. Dadati pratigranati, bhunkte bojayate chaiva, offering foodstuffs, feeding another person and accepting prasadam also from another person, right? This is also a relationship of love. And confidentially giving, guhyati akyachi prichati, confidentially sharing one's heart to another person, and also keeping the confidence of another person's heart carefully. So, right? So these are the 6 relationships of loving relationships. So then the Sutta Goswami continues the narration. Out of profound affection for Lord Krishna, Sauri are the devotees. the devotees, out of profound affection for Lord Krishna, particularly the Pandavas, who were of the Kuru dynasty, accompanied him a considerable distance to see him off. So when Lord Krishna left Dwaraka, left Hastinapur, they didn't just stay in their house and then say okay bye bye, and then as soon as Krishna leaves, close the door. No, they all came together with him. The army, the family members, everybody, they all came together with him and they walked with him a considerable distance outside the city. You can see here, this is the procession outside the city. They were all accompanying the Lord. The Lord is here, Krishna, and they were all accompanying him outside, walking with him. This culture is there even nowadays. We see that, when we go for people's houses in Deepavali, family houses, right? We visit our uncles and our aunties, and then when we go, we just don't leave like that, right? We all come together with them until the gate, right? And we say bye-bye to them until they leave. So that culture is nice. And that is actually Vedic culture, right? Not the nowadays modern method of, you can show yourself out. So that is very, very demonic. So this is the proper culture. So we learn many things from Bhagavatam. We learn pure devotional service. We learn about the hearts of devotees. We learn the behavior of devotees. So all this is very nice. They were overwhelmed with the thought of future separation. So just like like the Pied Piper and the mouse, right? They were following him because they were overwhelmed with the thought of future separation. I remember I mentioned in the beginning, they were all struck with shock that the Lord is leaving. They couldn't digest it. So therefore, they were following him helplessly, overwhelmed with future separation. The Lord, however, very lovingly persuaded them all to return home. And he proceeded towards Swanagarim, his own capital, which is Dwaraka, with his dear companions. So he came together with Lord Krishna. Two other people were traveling with him, and that is Satyaki and one more person. Satyaki, and I can't remember the other person. Two of them were traveling with Krishna. Uddhava, was it? So I'm not sure. So anyway, the Lord persuaded all the rest of them to go back. And in this way, he traveled. And the description of his travel is also given in Srimad Bhagavatam, so that we know all this is not just fairy tale. It happened. O Bhargava, Saunaka, Sutta Goswami is telling Saunaka Rishi. The Lord then proceeded towards Kurujangala, Panchala, Surashena, the land on the bank of the river Yamuna, Brahmavarta, Kurukshetra, Matsya, Saravasta, the province of the desert and the land of scanty water. So this has been traced by historians. This is the path of Lord Krishna. From Hastinapur, this is Hastinapur, right? And this is the path which he passed through Jaipur, right? Udaipur, so many other places, Gujarat, right? And over there, Dwaraka. This is Dwaraka. So Prabhupada says, the provinces passed over by the Lord in those days were differently named, but it's all traceable based on history. But the direction given is sufficient to indicate that he traveled through Delhi, Punjab, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Saurashtra, and Gujarat. And it appears that the desert of Rajasthan and the provinces of scanty water, like Madhya Pradesh, were present even 5,000 years ago. So as you pass through Jaipur and all, in Agra, there is the desert, Rajasthan desert. So it's a desert area. So this place, this was also there 5,000 years ago when Krishna was passing through all this. And after crossing these provinces, he gradually reached Sauvira, it's another province in Gujarat, and Abhira provinces. This is in Gujarat area. And then west of these, towards the sea, right, he reached Dwaraka at last. On this journey through these provinces, Hari was welcomed, worshipped, and given various presentations. Now, it was not one long, endless journey. He stopped in many places as he was traveling. So the etiquette is, In the evening, in all places, the Lord suspended his journey to perform evening rites. This was regularly observed after sunset. So generally, travel is not done at night. So this is Vedic culture. Traveling is done before sunset, especially long travels, right? And wherever he stopped in all these different provinces, the kings and the princes in those area, they welcomed the Lord very nicely, and they worshipped him, and they treated him very nicely as a guest. And the Lord was able to perform various rites. So like doing Gayatri mantra, and performing some oblations. So the Lord teaches by his personal example. So Prabhupada says he is self-sufficient, and yet he acts according to the rulings of the revealed scripture in order to teach us the process. If he does not do so, the common man may go wrong. So there's a similar verse in the Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? Right? This is the verse Krishna says in chapter 3, Karma Yoga, right? He says, Yadi hi aham na varteyam jatu karmani atandritaha mama vartmanu vartante manusyaha partha sarvashaha. If I did not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds would be put to ruination. Why? Because people's nature is to follow, right? People like to follow what other people do. You can see this in advertisements, because the people have understood the psychology of human beings. Why do they hire, great artists and famous people to advertise things? Michael Jackson will drink Pepsi, and everybody will say, "Oh, okay, I also will want to drink Pepsi." And then Madonna will drink Coca-Cola. Oh no, she also did Pepsi, I think. So like that, and then all this, and some famous person, I think who's the famous Ferrari driver, he wears the Tag Heuer watch or Patek Philippe watch, and then everybody wants to wear that watch also. Ronaldo will wear something, and then everybody wants to do the same thing Ronaldo does. So like that. So whatever a great man does, common people tend to follow. And the greatest personality of that time was established in the Rajasuya sacrifice by Yudhishthira Maharaj was Lord Krishna. Right? So therefore he says, if I did not perform prescription, so that's important. Achar and prachar. Right? We cannot, simply by speaking, we cannot change people. People have to see integrity and sincerity in others when they preach. Right? The best preaching is by one's own self-example. Right? So in this way, one preaches, and when one is pure, integrity is very powerful. When purity is the essence, then the preaching becomes powerful also. Because achar and prachar, what one speaks, one does, right? So therefore, it's very important. This is a very important psychology. This is how children learn from parents also, right? Children like to imitate parents, especially when they are young, right? So sometimes parents use certain words, children also follow in the same way. Oh, you speak like that to me, then I also can speak like this to others. So like that, there are so this is important. So Krishna sets the example. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. So here's another example of showing how unwanted population, or those population which are born without samskaras, without Vedic culture, this is the actual problem of the world. They create a lot of problem to the world, right? So the cure is to create Vedic culture, to establish culture to all people so they can follow and set a good example for others. So Prabhupada continues, the Lord in human society does what is the duty of everyone, but sometimes he does something extraordinary and not to be imitated by the living being. Oh, the Krishna did rasa dance, right? So does that mean we also should do like that? Because whatever a great man does, we should also follow. So yeah, so Krishna is, that Krishna and Rama, Lord Ramachandra showed everything by example, because he was showing an example of a human being, how a human being should behave and how a king should behave, and how a brother, how a father, how a husband, how a child, all of that perfect relationship was showed by Lord Ramachandra. But Krishna, he did not come as a normal human being. nor did he come as a king, or nor did he come as a normal person. He came as Swayam Bhagavan. He came as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he can do everything and anything as in his potency of the Supreme Personality. So therefore, he sets good examples, but he also performs unique activities which nobody else can do. Right? For example, his acts of evening prayer, as stated herein, must be followed by the living being. So everybody should do evening prayers, right? So they should chant, right? Or at least we should have some arati. If not possible to do arati, at least do Gayatri mantra, and then one should chant, or one should just chant if the one is not Brahmana initiated, like that. But it is not possible to follow his mountain lifting or dancing with the gopis. So here he showed an example to everybody, but at the same time, he also showed how he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His acts, not everything you can follow. Some acts only the Supreme Personality of Godhead can do. Therefore, in all actions, the experienced guide, the spiritual master, who is the manifested mercy of the Lord, should always be consulted, and the path of progress will be assured. So how to differentiate which one to follow and which one not to follow according to what Krishna did? Now, Krishna's pastimes are very difficult to understand. It's the highest pastimes. Every other incarnation of the Lord, the pastimes are easier to understand. But Krishna's pastimes are much more difficult. So one definitely needs to consult one's spiritual master or guru. Then they can tell us which one is accepted, which one is not. Otherwise, we can go astray. So this is the warning, right? So like that, people sometimes imitate, there are some bogus gurus who imitate pastimes with the gopis. So they dress like women, and then they have relationships with many women, and then they say this is spiritual Rasa Leela dance. So that becomes an obscenity. It becomes a perverted thing. So that is not spirituality. So how to differentiate this? The guhyam, the secret, the confidential devotees of the Lord coming in the line of parampara, they can reveal these things to the devotees, right? So that's why the importance of accepting a guru is paramount. So with this, we end the chapter 10. So let us digest this chapter by chanting this Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Tat Sat. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Kodi Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. So Hare Krishna, any questions or anything like to clarify or check? So I hope everyone is having a blissful Kartik Damodar month, right? So it's a very special month where we can increase our hearing and our chanting, particularly. Not just that we offer ghee lamps, we should also increase our hearing and our chanting. So this is our bread and butter, hearing and chanting. And all right, so if there is no questions, then I wish you all a blissful weekend and happy Deepavali and happy Govardhan Puja and a blissful Damodar Kartik month awaiting all of us. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Very good.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.